Good afternoon and happy hump day, you naughty little sinners. Welcome to another episode of the Witching Hour podcast. I am your long-haired, freaky host, John Royceland, back with another great episode for you. Before I get going, I don't break all my shit first, and we don't have anything to talk about other than the klutz that I might be. Um, I did a show the other day on my personal scariest movie, which was John Carpenter's The Fog. Tonight I'm doing something kind of similar, but that episode got a huge response. Um, and with that being said, previous shows I had said first person to comment and tell me who they were. I'm going to give you a shout out. Now, this person, coincidentally, I actually met locally in a store, and I can't remember what it was exactly, how we got talking about it, but horror got brought up. It might have been a T-shirt she was wearing or a tattoo. I don't even recall. And I told her about my podcast, told her to check it out sometime, and she did, and she commented, and she was the first one. So, Five Below girl, here's your shout out. Thank you so much for showing up, tuning in, watching, commenting, being active in the show. You are one of the reasons why this is all worthwhile to me. With that being said, I want to also take a minute to thank one of my new sponsors, Captain Creepy's Tomb of Terror magazine. You guys seriously got to check this out. Look for it on Facebook. It's a really good publication. You can buy it and have it mailed to you in hard copies. You can buy it and get the online magazine. This, again, is done by a personal friend of mine. It's a labor of love. It's all out of his pocket. So please try to support him, check it out, and help pass the word along. Of course, I also want to give another shout out to my existing sponsor, Hacks Horror Show, who I got a big surprise for you guys coming up soon with old Hack in mind. But tonight, keeping with you can call it retro if you want. Kind of a flashback back to the days of the drive-in, so to speak. I'm going to talk to you tonight briefly about not only my all-time favorite horror film, but my all-time favorite film ever. My personal GOAT. You know him, you love him. Right here. Boom. On VHS, yes, I got one of the greatest kids in the world. My son actually found this for me at a used record tape store, and I want to say he paid less than $10 for it. And if he didn't give me to me, I probably would have robbed him of it anyway. But 1974, Tobe Hooper's The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the original. Okay, now, just like the other night, the movie is almost as old as I am. Almost. I'm not giving away all my age here. A couple interesting stories I'm going to tell you about it, but the reason why this is my all-time favorite film, especially in the horror genre, it stars Marilyn Burns, Edwin Neal, John Dugan, Alan Danziger, Jim Sidow, excuse me, and of course, the legendary Gunnar Hansen. I first I first saw this film. I was in seventh grade. It was at a friend's house, and it was like three or four couples. We were all seventh, eighth grade. We were in the living room, so all the lights were off except for maybe the kitchen light. Mom and Dad were in the other room watching TV, and we're there with our significant others. And I'll tell you what, man, that minute I didn't care who I was dating, or what we were trying to get in the middle of. That movie had me glued. From the opening scene, from the opening narration by John Larroquette, who supposedly was actually paid I want to say with a joint, a dime bag, nickel bag. Back then, it could have been a penny bag. I don't know. But supposedly, rumor has it, he was paid in weed to narrate the opening sequence. And what a great job he did too, because he really captured the essence of the film. Um, the quality of the film itself is good. It is what it is. It's the '70s, so it naturally kind of had that gritty, dirty feel to it. And as the film itself was filmed in Texas, and the all the cast were ready to kill each other, literally because of the heat, the temperatures, the sun, everything. They were all going out of their mind. That feel really played into effect with it. So you all knew the storyline. I'm not telling you anything about it because if you haven't watched it, unsubscribe from me. I'm just teasing. But no, seriously, fuck off. Um, now, this film, there's just something about it that grabbed me, and it had a sense of realism to me. It wasn't just a crazed slasher. It wasn't so overboard that you didn't think, man, this could actually kind of happen because you take the mentality of the stereotypical hillbilly inbred family and you put that in Texas in the heat, and the cast itself of the family, um, damn, they remind me of some of my distant family, but they were so stomach turning, not because of going overboard, but because of the proven mental illnesses that they had. Um, Gunner himself, Leatherface, he was a mentally challenged, abused, very scared person. If he was around today with everybody having labels, um, the whole, um, he had anxiety that was through the roof, and he was so scared and so timid, and you'd see him always shaking and was afraid that if he ever did anything wrong or not on time, he was going to get beat. So the and Gunner was a big guy on that heat too. So um, it just made me feel like I was there. Now, obviously, filmmakers have taken over that feel, that role, leading up to today with the names of like Rob Zombie, whose films I enjoy, love him or hate him. He has been known to rip off Texas Chainsaw Massacre in a lot of his films. But I'm not going there. The music, the score, which was actually done by Toby Hooper as well, that little kind of a noise that you heard, I don't even know how they did that. I know I read it or heard it in one of the documentaries. I don't recall exactly because they did a lot of different testings on different items and they would just hit the record button and there it was. The movie has just held a very, very special part in my life, in my heart. As you saw in the intro video slideshow that I prepared for you, that young, handsome guy with the really dark tan, the tattoos on his arm that must have matched that guy. Yes, that was me. I met Gunner shortly before he had passed, actually. It was a couple years, but it was at Florida Spooky Empire, as a matter of fact. This was my first go around at a horror convention. Gunner was going to be there. At the moment, I was in the tattoo room getting my leg done. Um, I was actually getting Pinhead at the time. I already had Leatherface. I got Leatherface on my leg. I was doing Pinhead by my good friend Kelly Rogers, who, if you're ever down in Florida in Cape Coral, owns Gearhead Tattoo. definitely go check him out. He's one of the greatest and a good dear friend of mine. Um, we were taking a 5 minute break. It was Friday evening. Um, so the show was kind of just getting started. It was starting to get packed. We're outside having a smoke. We had just come back from outside into the hallways, and I look down the hall, and there he is, just this monster of a man with beautiful white flowing hair. White flowing hair. Mine's silver. Don't fucking mix that up. Anyhow, there comes Gunner. Just a monster of a man. Ever so quiet. No real emotion on his face. Just stared straight ahead. I ran back into the tattoo room, literally dove over the tattoo, the booth that was set up for the vending table, to grab my camera. Yeah, I didn't have a cell phone, not like everyone does today. People still use cameras. Into my book bag to grab my camera, came back out, almost out of breath. Literally almost ran right into him, right in front of him. Mr. Hanson. He just kind of, mm-hmm, yes, just as calm as can be. Not rude, not overly excited, just complete, just there. I'm a huge fan. I showed him my leg. I said, would you mind one picture, please? And kind of nods. Okay. I give my camera to my buddy. Click. Before I could even honestly turn to say thank you, he just cut it off, did one of these, and was gone. And he just meshed in with the ocean of people. So I got to meet my living legend, my hero, if you will, from my all-time favorite film. My GOAT is the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Now, they say that you start having snapshot images in your mind and you remember things when you're very young. And I was, at the time, I believe, living in New York. Now, granted, I only would have been 2 years old, but my late father swears by this. We were on a late night drive, going halfway cross country back to Illinois to Chicago to go visit family. And I remember looking out the window, and on the side of the road, there was this huge movie screen. Well, it was the backside of a drive-in. As you were coming to it, you actually got to see a second of it. And I swore I remember seeing the big ending scene where Leatherface is doing his chainsaw dance in the sun. And I've always remembered that. Didn't know what Leatherface was, didn't know what Texas Chainsaw Massacre was. 2 years old. So, with that being said, in the later years, when I fell in love with horror, fell in love with the movie, um, my father told me, he's like, you saw that movie when you were 2 years old. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? 2 years old. I did not watch that movie. He's like, well, you saw about 2 seconds of it. And he told me the story of coming around the interstate and seeing it. So, truth be told, supposedly, I got to see my first glimpse of it when I was 2 years old. Um, I used to have a lot of great T-shirts. I was very fortunate to get the book. Right here, if you can squint really hard, I'm not adjusting the camera. I apologize. My son, same one who got me the VHS, also got me. That's the cover artwork jigsaw puzzle. I also have, back from when Walgreens actually used to sell full movie related Halloween stuff. Little Leatherface shot glasses, just plastic ones, but shot glasses. So an ongoing story that happened within the last, let's just say, 10 days. Um, I had, I was friends with one of the Leatherface actors. Started following him, why not? I've enjoyed his work in other films. Um, he put a post up on social media saying that he was looking for podcasts. He wanted it to get out there, talk. I was like, definitely reach out to me. So he did. And very professionally, of course, trying to represent myself, represent the Witching Hour podcast the best I can. Introduced myself and the show to him and said it would be an honor to have him on the show. I said the franchise is one of my all-time favorites. I said, as a matter of fact, the original is my all-time favorite film. So he said, all right, well, you can reach me at such and such website. Wasn't quite sure what he was talking about or referring to. So I minimized that screen, opened up the other one, went to that site. And sure enough, it was a celebrity pay for podcast. Pick a name, that's who you want. They give you your rate. I was kind of dumbfounded. I really was. Um, I got back to him again, very very professionally, very politely, thanking him for his time. I said I do apologize. I said I don't charge anybody to be on my show. Everything that I've got, what little I have to offer you guys as far as quality and a decent show, is all been out of the labor of love of my pockets and families that have gifted me items to help me with, as far as like a light ring, a tripod stand for more lighting, webcam, microphone, so forth. Um, with that being said, I'm going to have to decline because I just financially I can't pay for that. He said, "Oh well, I can come down to 350, and I guarantee it'll be the best hour your show has ever had." I said, "I'm sure it would be very entertaining." I said, "But sir, I'm not going to pay 350 for a hooker and a bag of blow. Sorry. Thanks for your time. See you on the silver screen." And off I went. And I was very, very disappointed. And I did let him know that, I understand you are an actor. And if you are not acting, you are not earning a paycheck unless you get royalties, whatever. But something like that, you got to be pretty high up there. So if you're not currently at a convention, you got to make money. You're selling yourself. I get it. And I told him that. And I said, I can appreciate where he's coming from. I said, but that kind of money, no. I would have to have 1 million plus subscribers for me to even consider doing something like that. And I don't. So I'm not. So with that being said, I almost had a Leatherface for you. I'm not going to tell you the name. I will tell you that he starred in 2 of them back to back, I believe. So yeah, that was my little glimpse of excitement and hoping it was going to be a stepping stone, and for me to be able to continue my love with Texas Chainsaw Massacre by offering you not something from the original, but from still something from from the saga itself. Also, I was on YouTube the other day, and I'm going to tell you what, man, AI can. I don't even know. I want to be nice about it, but I think AI can pretty much just like kiss my beanbags, because whether this was real or not, and I watched it a couple times, and at parts I couldn't tell, and I Googled it, and supposedly it is real. Now, whether what I watched was real or not, I don't know. But supposedly there is another Texas Chainsaw coming out. It said 25. Somebody else somewhere else said 26. And supposedly starring, what is her name? Millie Bobby Brown. Is that her name? She started as 11 in Stranger Things. Now, parts of it kind of looked real. Whoever was narrating it hadn't hit puberty, let's just say, and had no bass in his voice. So it was not very alluring or horrific and scary. And there's one scene, and I did laugh out loud. And this is when I seriously called bullshit. Apparently, he being Leatherface was chasing Millie down a hallway. Now, just a normal size hallway, like in a hotel, maybe. You got a couple feet on either side of you. And all of a sudden, she has a shotgun, and boom, boom, as she's running and he's chasing. And it looked like a video game. I was calling bullshit and laughing my ass off. So if you know any truths to this, and you want to send me a link for something decent quality, by all means, please do. I would love to check it out, just for whatever's sake. But I shared the other night my favorite filmmaker, John Carpenter. Now, that is not saying anything about the late Toby Hooper, who did create some absolute masterpieces. One of which I would really, really like to bitch about, because Poltergeist, a movie from my time frame growing up, scared the ever loving shit out of so many people. Um, again, before CGI, before AI, all practical effects. And whose name do you hear and hear only? Mr. Steven Spielberg. Nothing against Mr. Spielberg. He's a genius in the entertainment field with filmmaking. But Toby's in it, I don't know. I don't know. I don't get it. But who am I to say? That's why I'm here in my makeshift studio slash old dining room, putting on shows for you guys instead of being in Hollywood as the next Gandalf. Anyhow, folks, thank you so much again. Captain Creepy's Tomb of Terror and Hacks Horror Show. Thank you both for your support, for the sponsorship of the show. I want to thank my executive producer, Mr. Tony Hack Covington, for all the ongoing great artwork and helping me with editing and so forth, to try to give you folks what I consider one of my biggest labors of love, is putting together these episodes on the Witching Hour podcast for you guys. So please, again, hit the little subscribe button down below. Tell me what your all-time favorite. I'm going to keep it in the horror realm, even though Texas Chainsaw Massacre is my personal GOAT as far as horror and overall films go. Are there other great films? Oh, by all means. But this little baby right here is my little baby, and he's my number one. So I want to know what your number one is. If you don't want to tell me your horror and you want to tell me your GOAT, if you have a GOAT, that's great. I want to know what it is. If you want to tell me what your horror GOAT is, I'm down with that too. By all means. I look forward to seeing you guys soon. I got a couple more shows actually this week. I'm very, very excited about it. I got some great guests finally coming in. And I'm looking forward to seeing all you guys again. So again, please subscribe. Find me on Instagram and Facebook. And of course, right here in the wonderful world of YouTube. I look forward to seeing you guys again soon. And as always, keep it evil.